Hi, you're listening to How Do You Watch This, a movie review podcast where each week we recommend a movie in the genre we love, but they don't. My name is Demi, and I love horror.
My name is Megan, and I love romance.
And this week I had Megan watch the movie Jack Frost,
Mm,
not to be confused with the Michael Keaton version,
mm-hmm.
which apparently confused a lot of people back in
Yeah.
the day.
Oh, I bet.
Yep.
Oh, I bet. Yeah. There's
So
even
much.
even when I was looking it up just now, I clicked the wrong one when I was filling out my review information, and because it's only a year apart, 97 and 98. So
Yeah. And some people would switch the discs in Blockbuster.
that's so bad. Oh my god.
Just so mean.
Horrible.
Oh, but yep, good old Jack Frost
Jack
of movies.
Frost. Yep. A 1997 rated R movie that is very short at 1 hour and 29 minutes, but honestly felt way longer.
It felt long. It felt like it went forever. I'm like, please.
Dude, I was like, how is more happening? How much longer? A couple times I clicked, I'm like checking how much time is left. What?
Dude, I
What
had
do you mean?
like 20 minutes left. I swear it was another hour. I'm like, there's
Oh,
no way. That was
yes.
20 minutes.
Yeah, and I don't know about you, but I was watching it it was streaming through the Plex app on our Samsung TV.
Yeah.
We're not sponsored by Samsung, so you can cut that part out. So it was streaming through. So every like 20 minutes, we had 4 minutes of ads. Like it's the 90s.
Yeah.
And I was just like, it made it so, like, even, it already felt long, and then it felt like I was in there for 4 hours, so.
It was on Amazon for free.
Are you
Well, if you
joking?
have Prime. Yeah, no, I watched on Amazon.
Wow. I can't believe that
It was on
watched all those ads for nothing.
It was on a few streaming
Oh,
sites for some reason.
man.
Sorry, babe.
Bummer. Sorry, whatever.
To be fair, I don't think I brought that one up because it wasn't listed online until I watched it, and I was like, oh, Amazon, yeah.
Yeah.
So
I just searched it on the TV and that came up and I was like, all right,
yeah, first
Yep.
one.
whatever. So the movie is a slasher horror comedy. This is my first time putting a 3 for in the genre, but I really couldn't. It is not just a horror comedy. It is a slasher as well. It's something. Directed by Michael Cooney. So, the movie starts out by giving the backstory of Jack Frost through the opening credits, which I really liked. I liked the merging of kind of like, catching you up to this point while we're getting all of that unnecessary opening scene stuff. Because, back then, the opening credits were always like, let's just read everyone's names.
Yes.
And give nothing visual.
Yeah.
So, there's this horrifying young girl voice, which is
Dude.
definitely an adult man trying to sound like a little girl.
It's actually an adult woman, but yeah.
Okay, sorry,
But
ma'am.
I thought the same thing. I was like,
Yeah.
who is this?
It was
trying so hard to be a little girl.
really bad.
Yeah.
And then there's like this messed up freaking uncle who's essentially telling his niece about Jack Frost. She's like, tell me a bedtime story. And he gives her this awful tale of Jack Frost who killed over 38 people across several states and happened to be caught by a small town sheriff and was on his way to being executed. And that's where the movie starts. And if someone said that to my child, like if one of my brothers did that to my daughter or whatever, he would never be allowed near them again.
It was like for no reason. It's like, why would you do this to her?
He was clearly annoyed by her, and this whole time I'm thinking, this is Jack Frost telling the story to his niece, because only someone really messed up would do that.
Yeah.
God. So, shortly after crossing the border, so now we're in the actual movie.
Mm-hmm.
And Jack Frost is on his way to being executed. And just after crossing the border into Snowmanton County, foul. This is how you know that this whole movie was clearly a big laugh. Like, everyone was definitely having the most fun with it, because why else would you ever?
I have some, like, reasoning. So at first it was gonna be a horror film, like straight up
Okay.
horror film, but they had no money for it. So it was gonna have a $30 million budget,
Whoa.
and then the company ended up going bankrupt like 3 weeks
Oof.
before.
Oof.
And so the other company that picked it up was like, we don't care what you do, just like give us a movie. So they had
Yeah.
full creative freedom to do whatever they
Oh,
wanted.
that's fun.
And because they didn't have enough money, they saw the costume for the snowman. It was like, it's so bad, but we don't have money to do it again.
Oh
So we'll just make
God.
it comedy. So
Yeah.
that's what happened. So,
Wow.
they embraced it, and I'm like, you know what? Good for
Good
you
for
guys.
them.
Yeah, at
Yeah.
least you
Run,
knew what
roll
it
with the
was.
punches.
Yeah,
Yep.
just roll with it.
I feel like it would have probably been a fun movie to work on just because of the unseriousness of
Oh
it.
my god, some of the lines in this movie
Oh.
had me crying.
Did you
So
see
bad.
did you see that in the end credits there were just like a bunch of quotes in between the different sections?
No.
I was like, what is happening? I don't know if they were all quotes from the movie or if they were some just like inside jokes, but there were some weird freaking quotes in between. Like they would be like 10 different artist names, like the makeup artist, and then just like some random quote that was like a joke quote. I don't know. It was strange. I was hoping you would know about it, but never mind.
No, no.
Okay, so back to this van, this Fallon transportation vehicle. Sorry. So this Fallon transportation vehicle is headed towards the execution place, and the roads are really bad, and a genetic research van crashes into it, and in the accident it explodes and a vat of acid lands on Jack Frost, who is the murderer, again, if you
Yeah.
didn't catch that already. And his body melts into the snow and then reforms.
With horrible fucking animation.
Oh my god, such bad animation. It's really just like cut, like it's like they filmed for like 3 seconds and then cut to when it's like melted more and then, oh my god. Meanwhile, the town sheriff who caught Frost, Sam Tyler, is plagued by the fear of the serial killer escaping and exacting revenge. So he just feels really uncomfortable. He keeps having flashbacks. And this whole movie, he's struggling with this idea that Jack Frost is still out there and his executions have been stayed and whatever. He keeps comforting himself with, the knowledge that he's going to be executed. And then in the car accident that happens, he's feeling a little unsettled because there's no like official confirmation. And then so when an old man in their town shows up dead in a rocking chair, he feels especially uncomfortable and decides to just call up the FBI and be like, hey, can you just verify that Jack Frost is dead because we have a dead man in town? And the FBI was like, yeah, I'll take your call, no problem, which is definitely not how it works.
Yeah.
And the FBI guy is like, yeah, he died for sure. And then he's like, cool, so we just have a regular murderer. Great, thanks. and later that day, the sheriff, who has a wife and young son, the son finds a mysterious snowman in front of his house, which is not incredibly unusual because apparently there's a snowman building competition going on in town.
Mm-hmm.
He decides to put a face on it, but is interrupted by a local bully who knocks the head off the snowman. Spoiler alert, the snowman is Jack Frost, and so Jack Frost rolls his head to knock over the bully boy, who falls, and toboggan slices his head off, which is the most horrifying concept I can imagine for that little boy, the sheriff's son, who is just there with his snowman,
Yes.
and this boy gets decapitated in front of him. And the kid's just like, I didn't do it. We know you didn't do it, dude.
Which is like the sled. Oh my god, that scene, dude. It happened so quick. I was like, oh my
So
god.
fast. And also, like the parents, the dad of the bully is blaming
Yeah.
Sam's son, which makes no sense because Sam didn't jump on him with the toboggan and
Yeah.
decapitate him. Even if he did
Right.
push him in front of a sled, no one's like, oh, you're
Yeah.
gonna get decapitated. That's a
Right.
freak accident. So it's very strange that he is just super angry.
Yeah, because the kid is like, oh, the snowman did it. And he's like,
Right.
what the fuck are you talking about? A snowman
Right.
did it. So,
Which is definitely weird. Like, that's a weird thing to say.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't believe the kid either. I mean,
No.
the dad is like, I gotta believe my son. I'm
Yeah.
like, I don't know if my kid said that. I'd be
Bro.
like, can we get a
You're the
therapist in the room?
Yeah, also, you're the sheriff. Like, what are you talking
Right.
about?
Right. So this family of the bully kid, they do not know how to handle their grief. The mom is trying to act like nothing happened and is humming, and once the tree lights on, whatever. The whole thing was just super strange.
Weird.
So weird. The dad was super angry, which is fine. Like, people deal with their grief in different ways, but whatever. The best line in the whole movie is when the older daughter, like the older sister, Jill, comes downstairs and she said, "The Lord forsook this house long ago." And I was like, God, what is happening? So essentially what happens is that Jack Frost comes to that family because he's really evil and shoves an axe through the dad's head and strings the mom up on a tree. Which,
And he shoves the axe, like, the blunt end
yeah.
through him, which
Yep.
doesn't make sense.
No, makes zero sense. Makes zero sense. So the FBI guy, whose name is Manners, shows up in town to quote unquote help with the investigation, and we learn that, first of all, no one knows that the snowman is Jack Frost except for the FBI guy and this weird company man who's with him. And so they realize that the snowman can melt and freeze at will, which makes him basically indestructible.
Mm-hmm.
And Manners is just like, just tell everyone there's a curfew, as if that's gonna matter, because the snowman can melt and get underneath the doors that way. So I would say get everyone out of town, but that's just me.
It would be the smarter thing.
Right. So the citizens are told to abide a curfew, and they're encouraged to stay in the church if possible. Then comes just the beginning of my deleted scene, because essentially the older sister of this murdered boy, the sole survivor of this family massacre at this point, Jill, is into this local boy who she convinces to break into the sheriff's house with to fool around. They take off 400 layers of clothes.
Which is like, why in the sheriff's house?
Why?
It felt
I
like the room.
Yes.
Where the two randos are just like, oh, let's just hang it out in Johnny's house. It's like, who are you? Get out.
It makes no sense. And I'm like, honestly, I think she just doesn't like the sheriff because her brother died. And she's like, let me just bang in his house or whatever. It was the weirdest scenes ever. So the boyfriend gets killed in the house, and she goes and she sees that the bathtub's on, and she was like, "Oh, thank you," and jumps in the tub. God, this is my deleted scene. Like, if it's not the whole entirety of the time they're in the house, it is 100% this scene where she takes a very sensual bath, and then suddenly the water turns back into snow, and essentially he smashes her into the shower wall until she dies. And one of the quotes in the credits, I just remembered, one of the quotes in the credits was, "Where's the carrot in the bathtub scene?" Because it's not on his face. And
it's not on his face.
I hate that.
And the quote he says after is, "Looks like Christmas came early this year."
Oh my God. I hate it.
It's so bad.
Hate it.
It's like, oh, it's so bad. I was looking stuff up for the movie. I don't know how true this is because the carrot wasn't on his face. So I'm like, there had to be some intention here. But apparently, like, it was just supposed to be him smashing her into the wall.
Right.
But then people were like, that doesn't look right. Like, when they were editing, they were like, that doesn't look right. And so they added the innuendo
Shut the
comment afterward.
uh,
But I'm like, he didn't have the carrot on his face. I feel like there had to be some
someone was
weird
doing that on
intention.
purpose.
Yeah, yeah.
Right. Oh my god,
Either way,
it's so bad. It's so bad. Just
awful
it's
scene.
there's literally nothing could be worse. So
Ugh,
that's why I deleted
no,
scene. Shocker.
it's yeah, valid.
Yeah. So the next thing that happened is essentially everyone realizes that it's a snowman that's murdering everyone. And the snowman melts inside of the police station, and the FBI guy tries to shoot the water, which makes no sense. It makes no sense. You're shooting water. You know it can freeze and melt at will. Whatever. Sam uses a blow dryer and realizes that works.
Yeah.
The company man is trying to save Jack Frost because he's made of magical acid and he wants to
Yeah, save, study.
it, but it's like, dude, that bro just murdered an entire family.
Yes,
Plus no one knows what's the sheriff hasn't gone back to his house yet. He doesn't go back to his house at all in the movie. We don't know his reaction upon seeing two murdered teenagers.
Yes. Yeah.
So they decide to blow up the police station to see if that kills him, which is a very extreme next step. I don't know why the next step would be to blow up the police station. And then this would have been my next deleted scene because the amount of stress I had. Freaking police officer forgot his keys in the door, and he has to run back and get them, and he's walking so slow in this small hallway. He walks so slow to get the keys, and then he takes like, oh my god, 3 whole minutes to get the keys out of the door.
I don't know what. I'm like, is he like, because he's wading through water, and I'm like, does he not want to trigger?
I think
Jack
he doesn't
Frost?
want the guy, because the Jack Frost does reform and grab his foot at one point. I think that's what he's afraid of.
Yeah.
But like, go fast.
Like, what?
Yeah.
It was so stupid. That scene drove me crazy.
Yeah.
It drove me crazy.
It was genuinely so stressful for all the wrong reasons. It was like not stressful in
Yeah.
the way horror movies are supposed to be stressful. It was like, what are you doing?
And then he's like, he gets the keys and starts going back. And then there's like a dude in jail. He's like, wait, let me out. And I'm like, no, sorry, dude, you're dead.
But also, how do you make the decision to blow up the jail and forget you have a person in the jail? Like, that's a pretty big, important thing to remember.
And it was the guy whose kid was killed, right?
No, it was a guy who I haven't mentioned because
He's the father. He's the father of the kid that Jill
the teen,
was.
Yeah.
The teen
He's
guy.
the father of the teen, who was murdered, but he doesn't know his kid was murdered.
Yeah.
You know. So they end up all going to the church, and it's just so much random dumb shit happens. I'm not even going to talk about it all, but the men use a blow dryer to convince the snowman to go down into the furnace, and they force him into the furnace, and they're like, oh, we're done. Haha, he's dead. Which I still don't understand how they don't realize that vapor or mist is another formulation of water, and he just evaporates and then reforms and kills the FBI guy and the company man. And so in a crazy turn of events, Frost ends up in the backseat of the sheriff's car, and the sheriff's with his kid, and as they're running out of the car, he throws the oatmeal that his son made him for breakfast at the snowman, and it starts to melt him. I didn't mention this at first because when I first wrote these notes, I was rating them as I was watching the movie, and I was like, you know what, that's too much information. I don't need to talk about these nasty oats that were made, but we're going to talk about it, because what happens? The kid that morning is with his mom in the kitchen making the nastiest looking oatmeal you've ever seen in your life, throwing marshmallows and cocoa and whatever in it, and it just looks like it's unbaked cookie dough. It doesn't look good. The mother must not have been watching very well, because tell me how this snowman starts to melt when this oatmeal hits him, and the dad goes to the kid, what was in that? And the kid was like, I didn't want you to freeze, like I didn't want you to get cold, so I put antifreeze in it. Are you kidding me?
He would have killed your dad.
He would have died if he ate that out of sympathy for. He almost threw out the oatmeal that morning because it looked so foul. And then he's like, oh, my son would be sad. So if he wasn't busy, are you telling me he would have tried it and then died from eating antifreeze? Because it tastes sweet. Like, from what I've heard, antifreeze is a sweet flavor. So he might not have known right away. Yeah, that's why there's like a big risk with pets where they're like, don't let your dogs or pets eat any sort of like snow outside because if there's antifreeze in it, it'll just taste sweet to them. They'll keep eating it and they'll die. So, if you don't know that, just know that now.
Yep. There you go.
I mean, obviously, like, if there's snow in your backyard where there's no cars and that no antifreeze has been there, like, my dogs love to eat snow. But
yes.
Yeah, be careful, know your snow.
Yep. And get the ice melters that's pet friendly.
Yeah, exactly. No need to use these environmentally hazardous ones. Anyway, so the dad realizes antifreeze can melt the snowman, and the snowman's melting and turns back slightly into flesh and is like this gooey, like melted snowman. Yeah,
and it makes no sense.
No, it makes zero sense. It makes no part of it makes any sense. So the sheriff ends up tackling the snowman into a truck bed full of antifreeze. And honestly, the kid. Oh my god, dude.
Horrible idea, because he's first of all just jumping into a truck bed.
Right, from a
he's
second
landing
story.
On metal.
Yep, into antifreeze, which is you're swimming in poison. Like, and then his son gets the arm of the snowman did not make it into the bed and grabs this boy by the head, so they dunk him in the antifreeze. So he's dunked in antifreeze, and then they come out of the antifreeze, and the wife kisses him on the lips. And I'm like, you guys, it's poison. You need to go to a hospital.
The lack of care around
yes.
antifreeze was crazy.
Honestly, if I was a kid and I saw this movie in like the 90s or whatever, I would have been like, I guess antifreeze is safe to eat and swim in and make out with, because what the hell?
God, I guess you would hope that anyone watching this fucking movie is old enough to know, don't swim in that.
Yeah, you would think. So then the townspeople decide to bury all the antifreeze and to, not tell anyone where it's buried in order to prevent Jack Frost from resurrecting in any way, shape, or form. And the movie ends with the antifreeze like dancing in the bottle because they buried it. And I would have given the antifreeze to the government because they could put it in a vault somewhere.
Yeah, but they would have maybe used it.
Dude,
a negative way.
I don't know. I don't need that snowman coming back. And guess what? There's a Jack Frost 2, and it started auto-playing after the movie was over.
I have no idea what that one's about. I have no fucking interest.
I can tell you the first 5 minutes.
Okay.
Sam is in a psychiatrist's office, and the psychiatrist is like, you are delusional. And he basically telling him that everything is unreal. And he's like, you won't even admit to where this supposed snowman is located. And he's like, yeah, because we can't tell anybody where it's located. And he's like, that's just feeding into your delusions. And so that's how it starts, where essentially this freaking sheriff is in a mental hospital.
I mean, fair.
Yeah. So, that's the movie. My most memorable is, of course, the antifreeze.
Yeah, solid.
Yeah. The antifreeze oatmeal, I literally gasped. I was like, that was the most horrifying thing in the whole movie.
No, because when we were watching, Brett and I, the scene where the sheriff goes to throw it away and then decides not to, Brett was like, fuck, is that going to come back? He's like, that's going to come back in some way. And yeah.
Yeah, as we were watching this movie multiple times, Travis was like, there's no way this is supposed to be actually scary, right? Like, there's no way this is... Yeah.
No. So, I mean, I don't know how they were going to try and make it scary. Like, genuinely.
Yeah. The only way this movie could have been slightly scary was if it was a snowman shaped like a man. Like, if it was, like, If
Yeah,
it was
not like a cartoon. Yeah,
like a
traditional.
sculpted man, that like a sculpture of a man come to life,
Yeah.
like just like a man covered in white, I think that's
Yeah.
the only way. The minute you have those three round balls on top of each other, it's never gonna be scary, dude.
Yeah, and it just I don't know. I guess it could have been a little scarier, but like it has to be campy. Like you
Yeah.
can't get away with
No.
this type of movie for it and not
Yes.
have it be campy at
Yeah.
any way.
Yes. Yeah. So, thank you for. By the way, just for the listeners, so that they know, I was texting Demi and I was like, "Oh, when are we gonna watch it?" She's like, "I can only do Thursday morning," which, mind you, is the day after Christmas, which we both celebrate. And so I was like, "Fine, bet I'll watch it on Christmas night." And I finished it at Christmas night, and she goes, "Oh, JK, I can't watch it till the evening." I could have watched it this morning. I didn't have to ruin my Christmas with this monstrosity of a holiday film.
You had a week to watch
Please,
it.
ma'am. Oh, God.
Oh, yeah.
Could you imagine if I was at my family's house and I was like, "You guys, we're going to watch Jack Frost"?
God, no.
Yeah.
Just the bathroom scene alone would just be
No,
so foul.
that whole scene, that's probably the worst scene I've ever seen.
It's pretty
One of the worst ones.
It's pretty awful.
Yeah.
Yeah, apparently this movie was shot in 18 days, which you can tell.
Not surprised, yeah.
It had such a low budget.
The acting
I'm
was
pretty
so
sure.
bad. The
It
acting
was
was
so
so bad. It was like, I didn't write that down until the scene where the where the bully's dad is like losing at the sheriff, and he tries to have this like moment of like a deep phrase, but you can tell he forgot his line halfway through and takes this like long pause and finishes his sentence. And I was like, this is horrible. This is so bad. Like, why would
Yeah,
you refilm that
they
scene? Was
definitely
that the
enough
best scene?
enough money to.
Yeah.
I just don't think they could have afforded it, so they're like,
Jeez.
fuck it.
Right. Good enough.
It's good enough. Yeah,
Yeah.
this was so the actress who played Jill, Shannon Elizabeth, this was her first acting role officially,
Okay.
and her first nude scene.
Oh.
And she's like in American Pie and Scary
Okay.
Movie. So
Her
she's a
face
familiar
looked
face.
familiar, but not.
Yeah.
But I don't like those. Aren't movies that I
Right.
watch. So
She's like, yeah, if you watch
I
those.
watched American Pie, but it was something that I was like, this is so horrible. I'm erasing it from my memory forever.
Yeah, fair. So I just like watching her. I'm like, imagine this being your first role,
Oh my god, that poor
and you have to
girl.
film that scene. Like, Jesus Christ.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um. Yeah. The only other thing I have is apparently the actor who read for a role of one actor who read for the role of Jack Frost pulled a knife in his audition.
Shut up. Why? Was he trying to seem like a psycho? Because it's working.
It worked, but I don't think he got the role. So.
My god. Jesus.
So yeah, I truly was looking into more. I was like, please let me find more information on this movie, and I could not find like
That's a
anything
bummer.
at all.
I wish I knew what all those like inside jokes were at the end credits, but
I feel like that's probably what it was, like inside
it just
jokes
has to be. They were
between
like,
the
ha, ha,
cast.
ha, ha.
Yeah.
Dude. All right.
Yeah,
I'm
I
gonna-
was like, I was unsure how I would rate this movie at all. So
Yeah.
I'm like,
I'm right now. I'm looking at my number and I'm just like waffling back and forth because it's like, I don't know. Like, this is where, because I was discussing with Demi, possibly making some sort of system for rating these because it is so challenging at times where I'm like, honestly, it was funny. Like, it was fun. It was stupid.
it was.
And I was entertained, but it was a bad
Yes.
movie. It was a bad movie.
Yeah, that's like exactly it.
Yeah. Like, it's enjoyable because it's so bad. Like, I would not give The Room 5 hearts, except I would give The Room 5 hearts because it's so bad, but, like, also, it's not, like, it's...
The thing is, like, I really don't know if I'd want to watch this movie again. Like,
Yeah.
it's fun, but, like, for me, it's not something where I'm like, oh, funny.
No. Right.
You know, like it's bad.
It's
So
really bad.
I think I'd have to give it like one, like one heart.
Yeah.
You know, it had funny moments,
That's what I
some
gave it.
creativity, but
Yeah. I gave it a 1. I was looking at my old review points where I'm like, okay, what have I given else that's in this range?
yeah.
And I'm like, the only ones I have that are lower than a 1 are Carrie and Blood Rage, which Blood Rage is from our last episode. And that one was horrible.
Blood Rage
So
was so bad.
so bad, like worse than this one is. And so
Yeah,
I
agreed.
feel like I can, like, this is, I don't know. I'm just gonna go with the 1 because I think it's the best that it deserves.
I think it's fair.
It
I
is
think it's
funny. If you like shitty horror, I think you would like it, but like
Yeah.
not as a cult classic. Like it's not gonna be a cult classic unless you're that
No,
person.
no.
Um
Yeah, it's yeah.
yeah. So main character smash or pass. I said I'd smash the sheriff. Sure.
Okay,
You
yeah,
know
you
what?
know,
He's a
it's-
protector. That's
I
cool,
like the
dude.
sad sheriff
Yeah.
vibe, you know, I can get
love
with that.
a man in uniform who's scared of guns and can't shoot. Like that's fine. His main weapon is a hairdryer. Same. Like
I love
great.
that. Yeah.
Main villain pass. Hardcore pass. Hardcore
Yeah.
pass. No redeeming qualities at
No.
all.
Even human, it's like this
Even
man
human?
is foul.
And they really filmed him from the most atrocious angles to make his chin just like the longest chin of all time. I was like, oh my god.
He looked like a cartoon villain. It was crazy.
He did. It was really wild. Survival chance, I feel like I'm a good 50-50 here.
Okay.
It just depends on who you are in town. You know what I mean? Like I would not. Am I Jill? Because let me tell you what, we're not going to sneak into the sheriff's house. I'm going to be at the church the whole night, hiding with the rest of the people afraid of the murderer. I'm going to be like flirting with the boy in my class and hoping that I don't die that
He'll
night.
notice me.
Right? Exactly. I'm not the wife who, at one point, the wife goes back to the house alone, which is the worst idea ever. I'm not her.
Yeah.
That's not me.
Yeah.
So I say I'm 50-50. It just depends on my circumstances.
I think that's fair.
And no, I would not recommend to anybody ever.
Nope.
Yeah. Unfortunately, that one's not gonna.
There's not
Okay.
enough redeeming
Mm.
qualities in
No.
this movie.
No. Yeah, it's a tough one.
Yeah, it's like I said, it had some funny moments, but like
Yeah.
it's not enough. It's not enough.
No. I mean, it's very clearly is what it is, which is a film that was rushed and made fast with a cheap budget.
Full creative freedom.
Full creative
And
freedom.
that's
Which,
what happens.
like, listen, I would love nothing more than to be part of a film with full creative freedom, because how much fun would that be? I would go over the top as hell.
Yep.
Sure. But yeah,
And they did.
they did. They did. They made it as weird as possible. Yeah.
Yeah, that's Jack Frost.
Jack Frost, and ladies and gentlemen, Jack Frost.
I wish I
Yeah.
had I should have watched the Michael Keaton one
Yeah.
just to compare it.
I honestly feel like I have to, just to form out the
Snowman trifecta.
Snowman trifecta. Yeah, I was gonna say the trilogy of Snowman movies, because the movie I'm giving Demi next is one we actually watched for the first time. And it is Hot Frosty. And if you're part of the rom-com world and you are a big fan of goofy Hallmark style movies, you will have heard of Hot Frosty, because it's the newest in the Netflix
Christmas universe.
Christmas universe. Thank you. The NCU.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's essentially about a snowman that is a sexy snowman that is brought to life by a magic scarf. And he is basically latches on puppy dog style to the woman who gave him life, which is our main character. I believe her name is Kate. She owns a diner, and he lives with her, and they have a connection. But the local sheriff But the local sheriff is a little suspicious
Mm-hmm.
and continues to investigate him. And you know what? I'll leave the rest up to you to learn about. Will he
Ooh.
become a real boy? Will he melt forever? Who knows?
Who knows? We'll
Who knows?
find
When
out.
I watched it, I thought it could go either way. Demi and I once watched a Nutcracker Christmas movie where the man returned to his Nutcracker form at the end. So
He was on the mantle.
Mantle just watching her all the time. A sentient doll. Horrifying.
What was that one called? That wasn't part of the
couldn't remember.
Netflix
It was not
cinematic.
part of that one. No, that one was probably more of the Hallmark genre.
Yeah. What was the night before Christmas? He didn't return, right? He stayed.
No. He did return. I think he returned
came
and then
back,
came
didn't
back
he?
again. He did
Yeah.
come back. Yeah. He stayed in the future. Spoilers for anyone who hasn't seen
Sorry.
it. That one's another
It's not
goodie.
one. It's not one of the best ones. It's
Oh,
good.
girl,
But
I just would disagree with you. You
really,
and I
you
haven't
really liked Night Before Christmas?
Yeah, in a good bad movie kind of way. I liked
Yeah,
it.
I feel like it wasn't as strong as Christmas Prince or the Switch, the Christmas
Yeah,
Switch.
no, those ones are definitely top tier
Yeah.
of good bad Christmas movies. But I also, I love a good bad rom-com, and
It had all the tropes.
It had all the tropes, and so that was fun for me.
Yeah.
A night, come on, girl, let's go.
No, I mean I love the concept, but I
Mhm.
don't know. There was something about it where I was like, "Ugh, I wish.
I know,
there
I
was-"
remember.
So
I
fine.
cannot wait to talk to you about Hot Frosty because since Demi and I watched it together, I watched it again with a group of people who were loving it. Loved it. Yeah. So
no.
yeah, so I feel like I'm coming into this with like a fresh perspective. And
Okay.
when we watched it the first time, I was making cookies, and this time I really got to pay attention.
Yeah. Okay.
And yeah, I feel like I cannot wait to hear what you have to say on it. Genuinely, it's going to be really fun. The amount of obviously, if anyone doesn't get the common thread by now, you should, but there are probably 40 to 50 common threads between these movies.
Too many.
It's honestly same movie, different flavor. Like,
I mean, I wish antifreeze was the thread.
played a bigger
I
role.
wish.
Oh,
I
could you
wish.
imagine? It could have been a lot of different threads. Could have been a lot, but
Ugh, I should watch it
Yeah.
with my mom.
yeah, you absolutely should. I kind of dig it. I kind of want to watch it again, but I'm not going to watch it for a third time. I can't watch it a third time.
No. Okay, I definitely have to rewatch it because
Yeah.
I was losing my mind with this movie.
Yes, I think I think you'll like it more the second time around. But
Okay.
it's campy. But I feel
Yeah.
like they play into it a little bit.
We'll talk about it.
We'll talk about it next week.
Yeah. So, I'm closing.
Yes.
Let me pull up my script because now that we have a script, I forget everything.
No, I know. This is going to be a short one for us. I think it's been like 40 minutes.
Yeah, I think it was like a 40-ish minute one, but
Wow.
that's okay. All right. So, thanks for listening to How Do You Watch This? You can find us on Instagram at How Do You Watch This and TikTok at How Do You Watch, or email us at howdoyouwatchthis@gmail.com. If you like the show, support us by giving us a review or recommending to a friend. And we'll see you next week for Hot Frosty.
Bye and enjoy
Bye.
watching.